running out of kryptonite to take you through the night, to take you through the night.
Welcome back to Speed Racing Network. After a week off, we are back in action here at week 17, kicking off the round of 10, the second round of the Cup Series playoffs, kicking off here at the newly configured Atlanta Motor Speedway. I'm Greg Olenek, joined by Nick Halda, as always, here on Tuesday nights. Nick, welcome. I know you had to rush home from T-ball practice, but you're here, and it's going to be a good show here tonight. Just under 30 cars in this field tonight.
And they're probably going to be packed together this entire race. Probably going to be a wild one. What a way to start the round of 10 with a kind of a little wild card speedway action tonight.
Yeah, I know people were torn on this race. It's kind of a mini super speedway. That's the only way I've been describing it, and it's a lot of fun to watch. We've been here already in the other series. It's the first time for the Cup Series guys, though, so I know they are probably a little nervous if you're one of those drivers listed in green in those top 10. So what do you say, rather? We take a look at those top 10 drivers that are still competing for that season number 4 championship, and there you see we got 10 drivers moving on. We've had 11 in a couple of the other series, but only 10 making their way in here this week. Joseph Causey with his 3 wins. Reese Schaefer getting in. Adrian Schumacher also. Timothy Latham, our defending Cup Series champion. He's still in it to go back-to-back. Seth Berger, he's moving on. Ryan Johnson, Lane Hostler. Our playoff lucky dog, Scott Healy, he's going to go ahead and move on to the round of 10, as well as Brad Herman. And last week's winner, Johan Seminario. Nichols, Gerwitz, Norfleet, Brandon Domain, and Brian McAvoy all eliminated from playoff contention. So it's narrowing down, and you know what's different about this second round? We're going to start on an even playing field, so anything can happen here in these next 3 races.
Yeah, I feel like tonight, starting the round at 10, is going to feel kind of like the NCAA tournament. Just survive and advance and get as many points as you can out there tonight and hope to dodge the big one.
Yeah, and I know those games kicking off here tonight, so hey, why not have both of them on? You can watch us while watching those play-in games happening here tonight. So let's go ahead and give our sponsors a quick shout out, because the team championship's all wrapped up. We've known it's going to be Gear Up Motorsports and Tank Racing going at it starting next week, so we'll get more into that in week 18. But got to give a quick shout out to Buttkicker, as always, for them coming on board. Go ahead and head over to thebuttkicker.com and see all the awesome products that they have to offer. If you're a sim racer, you're going to want one of these. And you know what? They're getting more and more affordable as time goes on. So like I said, head on over to Buttkicker, check out what they have to offer here tonight. And you know what? While you're at it, go ahead and head over to silverbacktax.com. You can call that number right there on your screen too, 662-996-4357. And go ahead, look for Sean Griffith, because man, he has also been a big pillar in Speed Racing Network. And it's tax season. If you got any issues with the IRS, head on over to Silverback Tax Solutions and see what they can do for you guys. And then also, got to give another shout out, Nick, to TJ's Team Foundation over at morethanAcape.org. Cannot thank them enough for coming back on board here in Season 4. We became partners in Season 3, and it has been a wonderful foundation to partner with. Like I said, head over to morethanAcape.org and see if you can go ahead and help out any families that are battling with pediatric cancer. Like I said, a wonderful foundation. And you know what? We can possibly use some of this money being paid out to go ahead and send their way too, because there is a lot of money on the line.
Yeah, it's that time of the year. It's a tax season. Get Silverback to get your maximum tax refund to Buttkicker, and as well donate to TJ's team. And like you said, money is on the line. We have reached that point of the season where these top 10 drivers are realize they are really in the hunt for this first place $500.
Yeah, $500. I know it used to be more here in the Cup Series, but still $500, not bad at the end of the day when you count it as, you're playing a game, really. $300 going to the runner-up. Third place going to come away with $180. Fourth place going to get $120 in their pocket. And fifth place is going to get $80 at least. So if you make it to that final round, you're guaranteed at least $80. And a lot of these guys are going to be positioning themselves for those 6 through 8 spots too. If you don't make it to that final 5, you still are in contention in that last race of the season to potentially come away with at most $60. And hey, if you pair that up with a win, that's $90. Not a bad payout at the end of the season. So that's what they're racing for. I'd like to remind you all of that as we narrow down the weeks here in the Buttkicker Cup Series. But it looks like the boys are heading on out there to the track, and I think we're starting to see these guys grit up out here.
It's time to take a look at how they qualified, and it'll be big to see where the teammates are, because I think that's going to be very important as to how fast teammates can link up tonight.
Look at this man on the pole here tonight. I'm going to go off on a limb here and say this is his first ever pole for Justin Rideout, the captain of JW Racing. He's going to be starting number 1, and yeah, take a look at it. A lot of JW and a lot of Tank Racing guys here, all of them in the top 6. Rideout going to have his teammate Ryan Johnson just behind him, and Seth Berger and Joseph Causey, they're going to be teaming up there on that outside row. So that's your first 2 rows, and then flip-flop them for the third row. Reese Schaefer and Matt Dula starting 5th and 6th.
And then flip-flopping back, Emerson Ardon's going to be right there behind Reese Schaefer. And then you got Scott Healy, and then another JW Racing driver right there in row 5 as Johan Seminari will start to the inside of Drew Ballesteros. Row 6, Lane Hostler and Timothy Latham.
Yeah, going through the rest of our top 20, Scott Kalal and Rob Norfleet. That's going to be row number 7 here. Blair Holloman, Byron McDonald in row 8. Brian McAvoy, Michael Plaitis in row number 9. And Jordan Sailors and Aaron Gerwitz rounding out our top 20. So there you see the guys pulling off on the grid. We didn't really get a lot of time to talk about it before the race, Nick, so it's going to be kind of a surprise of what you got for me tonight. Who you picking?
Oh, I think with all those Tank guys up there, it's going to be hard not to take the guy with the most wins, especially to starting off this round. Everybody starting off even. I think Joseph Causey is going to try to establish himself as still the leader.
Okay, I like that. Always a safe pick when you see those Tank Racing cars here at a super speedway. I'm going to go off here on a limb, and I'm going to go and root for one of your guys. I'm going to look at that guy in the purple car, that 43, Ryan Johnson, starting in 3rd, it looks like, here tonight. So I think he's going to start off this second round with a win, and I think he's still got a big chip on his shoulder after missing out on that Truck Series championship last year. He is still in the thick of it with these Cup guys. So there you see it, 120 laps here on the board tonight, getting ready to get it kicked off when we see that Silverback Tax Solutions green flag in just a little bit.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be more of like maybe a 2-line race, but that practice, these guys are actually mixing it up, testing the limits, even going a little bit of 3 wide, a lot of beating and banging they were able to hold on to. We'll see how much of that aggression from practice continues on into the actual race.
Well, Justin Rideout bringing him to the Geico restart zone, and that's exactly when we'll see the Silverback Tax Solutions green flag waving, and we're underway here in Atlanta.
And immediately you see those 2 lines trying to push each other along. Normally you don't want to push the pusher, but here in Atlanta, I don't know if you have much of a choice. If you check up at all, you get a accordion effect or you get freight trained.
Yeah, so like I said, a bigger field than we've seen here lately too, so got to take that into account. But right off the bat, Seth Berger and Joseph Causey going to work there on the outside lane, and that is going to give Seth Berger the first lap lead of the night. And look at him right on the bumper there. In the 88 is Joseph Causey. Dula going to go down and help his teammates now. So we've got a train of JW cars on the inside. Looks like Drew Ballesteros is going to try and get in the mix too. The 44 coming up there on the high line, the 4th car in line there.
And immediately you see, well, obviously, what line at least Tank Racing prefers, because they jumped out and they had the opportunity to drop down in front of that JW line that would have put a JW driver on their outside and right behind them. But those guys have elected to stay on the top side. So obviously they feel the top line is prevalent, but right now they're stacking up on the lower line, which will give them more momentum. We're going to see just how powerful this top line is, as two cars are going to try to hold off about 8.
It's just silly how fast this track is now. It almost looks like I have it in fast forward when we watch it from our broadcast cameras outside the car, but here's the look from inside Seth Berger's machine, and you can see it is a lot more smoother than we're used to seeing at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And you got to watch that red line now too. That's the out of bounds like we usually see at Talladega and Daytona, so you got to keep the car above that line. But right now, Scott Healy making a move to the inside, being pushed by that train of JW drivers.
And he's going to get pushed by Drew Ballesteros and kind of see if this front line's going to challenge this outside line a little bit, as they have a JW driver kind of laying back there a little bit, kind of pulling that top line back just a little bit, as you see your pick Ryan Johnson there, the third car on the top line. And like you mentioned, things happen so fast. And what's also tricky for those guys on that bottom line, on that out of bounds, if we go to an in car of one of those guys in that bottom line, you're kind of blocked. You're kind of just really stuck and hoping the guy you're following in front of you is staying above it, because you can't really see it very well, and things happen so fast here. You have almost no time to react. We always talk about staying back off the pack at Talladega and stuff. It is times 10 here at this new Atlanta.
Yeah, this is on board Justin Rideout, our pole sitter here, and you could see even getting on that line, it's almost like a different angle, so you got to be careful, as it's almost like getting on the apron. You can really get the handling loose here, especially in these Gen 7 cars in the Cup Series. So yeah, it's a totally different style of racing when you're super speedway racing. At least when you're actually at a super speedway, you have a little bit more time. I mean, look at the times on the board. They're running 30-second flat times around this 1.5 mile oval.
Just insane speed, and it maintains the whole way through. And what that means is tire wear is so critical here. I was talking to some of the guys at practice. They were complaining about how their car was handling, but yet when they pulled off to check their tires were like in the mid 90s, and they were 90% still, 95% of the tire was still available to them, and they were already complaining about some of the handling. So you can see some of these guys in the back are anticipating these tires kind of going a little bit. They're going to want to try to stay out of the big wreck, but this front pack is worried more about track position. As we can see, it's really, really hard to pass.
Yeah,
so
it's weird. You say worried about tire management, because that's something you're not used to doing when it comes to super speedways. You can just pretty much almost not have to pit and take tires, just get fuel to get you to the end. But you're right, going to this track where the turns are so much quicker and so much tighter, you're going to be seeing that tire wear play key. And I think that's exactly what you alluded to with those guys a little bit further back behind Brian McAvoy, starting to just take it easy, because I mean, it's a win-win for them. They're saving tires while also possibly getting out of a big wreck if that does happen.
The way this track races now, anybody watches the truck racing in real life, where they stay so packed up because everybody is just almost 100% on throttle. Some of these guys in third don't want to push the pusher. They may be blipping it just a little bit, but I guarantee those front two cars on both of those lines, front four cars, are just 100% on throttle almost the entire time around. It just keeps everybody so packed up, and there's no real off throttle time to allow for a pass. It's almost somebody's got to get a little bit loose or something wonky has to happen, and then you're afraid of taking out the field.
Yeah, that was a bold move there by Berger. We've seen that being used a lot lately in super speedway racing, where you kind of go down to block the line, but the moves are happening so fast here. You gotta be careful with that, and that kind of stalled that high line a little bit to bring Sky Haley back to the inside of the 77. But that high line is just trucking right now, and I'm curious to see if they end up moving lines to maybe help save the tires. I'm not sure how it's going to work, because personally, I've only run one race here in Atlanta in this new configuration, and I think I lasted for about 5 laps. So I really couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I lasted just a little bit in the Xfinity until things got a little bit loose in front of me, and it happened so fast. And that inside line right here on the track is where they're going to prevail the best. They're coming off this turn 1 and 2. The outside line is going to have the momentum and more speed to carry down the backstretch. That inside line, their biggest advantage is through the tri-oval, and that's where you see the outside line dropping down, side drafting, trying to keep them back, pulling them back to negate that. And as these tires wear, that's going to become more and more of a dangerous maneuver.
Riding on board. Ooh, someone gets loose up there, I believe. That's Scott Healy, who's now going to be shuffled out from the lead, staying out of the track too, because he knows how dangerous that could be. He's going to go straight to the back here as Timothy Latham goes on by.
Yeah, he's going to, for multiple reasons. One, to not stack up the field and cause a big wreck. Two, he doesn't want to get, I'm sure he would maybe forced down there, but he doesn't want to, try to gain any advantage and pick up a penalty. Best thing there is just to take your lumps, drop back, hopefully pick up this draft again, and you just kind of cycle back up through. I'm sure that's going to change his almost entire race strategy.
Yeah, so a former champion here in the Cup Series might be sweating a little bit now. I think he's going to lose this draft.
Yeah, I was about to say he's sweating right now, wondering if he's going to be able to link back up.
Well, we'll find out, but right now it's going to single file things out a little bit after that dicey moment there. Seth Berger is still leading the way. He's led most of the laps so far. I do believe the 64 got a few laps led while he was up there, so he will have that bonus point in his pocket here, but he's going to need some help before too long because he is falling off the pace. I think he is, though, catching up to Adrian Schumacher in front of him. Might be able to hang on back here.
One thing to also notice, we don't really see too much pushing in the corners at Talladega and Daytona. Here, it's almost no choice but to push, or you're going to get ran into behind as well. So there's been a lot more pushing in the corners, I've noticed as well, especially in the front pack.
Yeah. I was talking to you before the race, and I was like, man, I was debating whether to go down there this weekend or not because this looks so much fun. It looks like pure chaos out there. And I mean, the only super speedway I've ever been to is Daytona, and you kind of just wait 40 seconds for the cars to come back by, and then they go around, and you have a tough time seeing them. Here, you get a view of the whole track, and my God, it looks like you're going to have action the whole time. I love, personally, what they've done with this new Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Oh, it's definitely interesting, and what I want to see is what happens as this track wears, and we also start getting some tire wear. But right now, with the fresh asphalt and everything, these guys are just flying around. And you're right, most of the time, I had super speedways. Like I went to the Indy 500, and I went to the Brickyard there as well. It's like, okay, hey, oh, here they come again, and you continue your conversation.
Yeah, so you have time to go get a beer and some French fries or whatever you're having that day because, yeah, those tracks are huge, but this one, not the case, and the action is non-stop. Looking like right now everybody up front trying to hang out for the time being. Rideout still using that inside lane, followed by last week's winner, Johan Seminario, just behind him, and then you got, looks like the 10, or excuse me, the 11, his teammate Thomas Toomey. He's making an appearance again here this week. It's always funny how these races bring some people back.
Berger and Cause, you're going to have to be careful here. Causey's running about a half lane lower, and Berger is, and Causey's getting right to his bumper, and he's dangerously pushing on that right rear of Berger. You might, definitely don't want to loop your teammate there because he's able to just run just that half a car lower. If Causey gets a big run on him coming off the corner, you can see coming down the backstretch, it kind of, they don't link up immediately, and it's caused for some dicey moments there up front.
Yeah, I mean, just like that, we're coming to the stripe to complete the 19th lap. Oh, Johnson just into the wall there a little bit. He's going to be fine, though. Bounces off and stays right in the draft. But, I mean, just like that, we're up to lap 20. It feels like we just started this race, and that little hit for Johnson might have stalled that outside lane a little bit. Rideout coming back into the picture.
Yeah, here comes strength in numbers, and they're able to link up those cars on the bottom a little bit tighter than the cars on the top, as I think Johnson is getting experience of some of dirty air, because it's not like he's behind one car. It's almost like he's behind two cars side by side. When those guys split just a little bit, it's making just even a bigger block of air. And now we have our first moment of dealing with lap traffic.
I'm trying to do some research here while on the fly. I'm really curious to see what the average lap time here at Atlanta Motor Speedway has been in the past and just comparing it to what they're running right now, because it's insane how quickly these laps are ticking off. We'll bring up the last times by. I mean, it's not changed much. They've fallen off 0.3 of a second, and really they just picked up some time too. So they're still right where they were running at the beginning of this race. So not seeing too much tire fall off yet. Now Matthew Dula leading that inside lane. Going to see if he can get a little push from his teammate Justin Rideout. Curious if that's going to entice Ryan Johnson. He seems to really be favoring that high line in that 43.
He seems to be content to go up there. It's almost like those JW teammates are daring those guys to kind of split and then allow JW to at least control one of the lines, right? Or if those guys split or do any move, they know they have two teammates side by side behind them, so that JW is going to try to control both lines. Where right now, Tanks is controlling that top line. Look how long Causey stays attached to Berger. That's something we don't normally see at Speedways either. Usually it's a big shove, and the car runs out in front of you, and then you link back up. I mean, he through the entire tri-oval, still linked up, still pushing on him.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be a big fan of that, especially if I'm trying
That's teammates doing a lot of practice.
Yeah, they definitely have faith.
That's just trusting the guy in the front, the guy in the back, just running with each other so much. That's the only way we can pull that off.
And that's going to kill any chance of that inside lane having any opportunity. You hear him get out of the gas just a little bit right there as you saw the 77 slide up, but a big push right there and just shoving him down the front stretch through the dog leg too. That's not an easy push either. You can easily turn anybody doing that, and they are nailing it right now. And I got to mention the guy leading that inside lane, Matt Dula, didn't even realize it because the action is unfolding so quickly. He's a lap down.
Yep, yeah, I think he had pulled off maybe into the pits or maybe lost the draft, but yeah, he's the first car a lap down, so he's going to be pushing hard here to try to get his lap back the hard way. He's the only one, I believe, a lap down right now, so he would be sitting in the lucky dog position, so he doesn't want to risk losing that. It would be much better for pit cycles and everything else if he can get himself out in front of those leaders just in case we do get a caution. And if I'm Berger, you see Causey just bouncing back and forth behind him. Like he wants to, he's going to give you a shove, but he's never really linked up right behind him coming out of the corner.
And this really wide view here from the blimp shows you the action that was single filed out is completely gone. It's back to double file wide, the whole way back here. And just as I say that, it breaks up a little bit mid-pack, but it's go time. A lot of these guys that are sitting back realizing this might stay green and they need to start getting track position as well as setting themselves up for that first pit stop of the night. And I know that NASCAR made some changes in the real world as far as the pit entry goes. I have to imagine that's not the case here on iRacing. It might be, though, considering we had an update. Do you know anything on that?
I don't believe they had time from that announcement to take that into effect.
I'm trying to see if there's a cone back here.
Yeah, I know there was some chat in the Discord, and I don't think think iRacing had time to make that adjustment of where they have to be down on the apron well before turn 3. But we see some guys kind of backing off a little bit. I wonder if they're trying to, on this top line, I wonder if they're trying to find their way to the bottom for possible upcoming pit cycles. This is a bad situation for the guys that were kind of laying in the back. I think the reason they came up and got too wide and stacked everything up as well, the lap times these guys are running side by side, there's no real advantage to kind of dropping back. You really risk losing the draft. At Talladega, Daytona, if cars are too wide behind you, you can kind of back off a little bit and still kind of keep up and catch up with the draft. But these guys are running so fast, lap times up top, that it kind of forced the hand of the guys that wanted to kind of play it safe early to come on up. And I think we have 3 wide on the exit of 2 for the first time.
That's going to make you pucker up a little bit there. And I'm not talking about your lips, but they sorted out quickly because we talk about Daytona being narrow. Atlanta, I think it's going to take the cake as far as this style of racing. But like I said, they sorted out Jordan Sailors. He's going to come out of 7th after that. Thomas Toomey in 6th, and they're going to be single file through the top 8. Lane Hostler now trying to get on by Emerson Ardon right there. Lane quietly still in this thing. He made it to the round of 5 last year, raced for a championship. Looking to go back here again this season in that 61, having a solid run so far here in Season 4.
Some of these guys on the top line that have been stuck up there the entire time are getting awfully tight. You see some of these guys running real high and almost getting to the wall. Now it's kind of everybody wants that top line. That bottom line must have got real hard to control or keep on throttle, because even though we've got pits coming up, everybody's moved up single file to the top line.
And riding on board, you can just hear a lot more getting out of the gas. You can see the cars sliding right here. I mean, you got Rob Norfleet just in front of Brandon Domain. These were 2 playoff drivers in the first round, and kind of see the struggle that they're having with the car right now.
You get all that dirty air from those cars in front of you, and they're just not able to get that thing to bite and rotate. And it's almost like these guys are searching right now, trying to find out. Someone's running the middle, some are running up top, some are just staying up top. It's almost like practice. I don't know how many of these guys were able to stay out that long, because there was a real aggressive practice, so there were a lot of contact. So I think some of these guys may not have been able to race in a pack, because team practice, you've got 4 cars, maybe a couple teams get together, you get some other guys in from other series, so you can't really simulate what a long run is in this pack racing at this speed.
Well, I'm still just amazed at the pushing that's happening between Causey and Berger right now. I just have a hard time believing anybody can get by them unless they are feeling just as confident when it comes to that pushing. But right now, Ryan Johnson doing a great job to hold on to that 3rd position, because there's Reese Schaefer just behind him in that black number 17. So you get 3 of these guys linked up. We've seen it before at super speedways. It's going to be near impossible. And I mean, we've even seen your team, JW Racing, kind of control the race doing that too. Any team gets out in front like that, it's going to be hard to pass.
Yeah, but 35 laps left. If I'm Johnson, ride out some of these JW guys that are up here with the tank guys, why even do it? Because, yes, Berger and Causey are absolutely putting on a show on how to shove and stay out in front, but they're not running away from anybody. You're right there with them. So with 35 laps left, let them be the aggressors. Hope they make a mistake. Right now, you can ride right along with them.
Well, just like that, we're almost a third of the way done with this thing. I thought we were going to have ourselves a long race here tonight, considering, and this race always surprises me, as, wow, looked like, was that Ride Out back there? Or no, that was Toomey almost in the wall.
Toomey. Yep. More and more of these guys are getting tighter and tighter. Every lap,
sneaks up on you.
Creeping closer and closer. Yeah, I think it's a situation where, and we got guys dropping to the bottom. I think we're going to have some pit cycles coming up here real soon.
Yeah.
Because some of these guys are not happy with the handling of their car.
It just sneaks up on you because you slip into that super speedway type of mindset where, oh, these tires are going to be good the whole time. And just like that, you're face to face with a wall on the exit of 4, and it can really sneak up on you. We kind of saw Ryan Johnson scrape it earlier, and almost saw Thomas Toomey do it right there as well. But both of them saving their cars and still going on. So Yellow Stripe Motorsports right now looking good, as you got Seminario, Healy, and Toomey all in line, 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Yeah, they kind of got a big run there. They kind of rolled off the top of that last corner and were able to get a big run here on that 55. And it's also seems like one corner it stays down for them, and then one corner just kind of it almost like it unexpectedly jumps out. Like they'll run 4 or 5 laps, no problem, and all of a sudden they just get tight.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a bold take right now. I feel like you see that 11 car, he just does not look like he really is comfortable. Wow, really tight moment there with the 61. Doesn't seem comfortable down there on the bottom. His teammates are kind of lowering him down there, but no help for the 12 and the 64, 2 playoff drivers right now trying to make some hay. And as you see more and more green on your scoring tower there on the left side of your screen, creeping in to that top 10. 7 out of the 10 all in the playoffs, so not much disparity so far here tonight.
I think those guys on the bottom are just having to spend so much time off throttle to try to get that thing to stay down and not slide up the track, that they're just losing the time to those guys that are just holding on to the top. Although that bottom line is starting to make just a little bit of progress.
We're going to see pit stops here in a second, I have no doubt. This is going to be a 2-stopper, and that has just opened the window now with crossing the 40-lap threshold just like that. You're going to see it happen because people are going to be trying to get that track position. Don't think it's going to really matter too much because, like I said, they're going to really not be falling off too much. Take another look at the last laps by. 6/10 off of what we saw at the beginning of the race, but 40 laps in, I mean, that is impressive in itself there. So I think we're going to see that here before too long. Some guys dipping down pit road, which is going to be tricky. Hopefully that we've seen a lot of people practice that here tonight.
And it's going to be a catch-22. There's strength in numbers. You're going to have to get in here and have drafting partners. But the more guys that go off into the pits, the more chances of somebody locking it up, getting into somebody, speeding into pit road. So normally you like to go in with just your team. But with this type of pack racing, the type of speeds these guys are going, they're going to want to have as many guys in the pits with them as possible.
So right now, your top 10, Seth Berger, Joseph Causey, Ryan Johnson. That hasn't changed too much. Reese Schaefer, now Justin Rideout creeping up there into 4th. Reese Schaefer 5th. The 40 trying to make his way back up to the front to where he started. Sailors in 6th, Seminario 7th, Scott Healy in 8th. With Drew Ballesteros now creeping up there into 9th place, having a quiet good night. And Thomas Toomey rounding out the top 10 as well. So that 40 of Justin Rideout might have a good long run car here, making that bottom work, being pushed by Seminario, last week's winner.
Yeah, I think Dula and Johnson there, the two JW guys sitting back there in 3rd and 4th, kind of staying off Berger and Causey, just kind of stalling them out just enough to let this bottom line that is a little bit tighter packed up 1 through 6 to get that momentum to push on up.
And just take a listen. I'm going to shut up for a second, but just listen to the throttle management right now that Johan is having to deal with. Let's take a ride on board for a lap. Oh, and there we see the pit stops happening. There they go. So let's take a look at who is going down. Looks like all of Tank Racing. Joseph Causey going to beat his teammate there on the pit road. It looks like hopefully he didn't get a speeding penalty. Seth Berger coming down. Reese Schaefer, Emerson Ardon, all coming down that first time. And you can see on board Johan's camera there, it gets dicey and it happens fast.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure if it was Berger or Causey. One of them had about a half a bumper out above that red line as he tried to dive it down into the pits. And that got real dicey real quick. And I think that's going to force the hand. I would imagine with these 3 JW drivers all linked up together, we're going to see them probably come down pretty soon as well.
Yeah, I mean, you see the lap times. It hurt them by about 2/10 that last time by. Those guys are going to be quicker than them. I mean, yeah, it's a draft-dependent race, but right now this pack is not faster than a smaller pack. Those guys are going to be able to put us some distance here. So curious to see what the play is here right now. Nobody looking like they're coming down.
No, they may want to try to keep those tank guys with the tire fall off not being too much. They may figure, well, if we can get these tank guys maybe a lap down or something, hold them a lap down, a caution comes out. They're maybe trying to catch them, put them a lap down before they go into the pits if they can, if they have enough fuel.
Yeah, I just don't see a way that they were able to save that much more to make it a one-stop race potentially. If they can make it to 60 and pit on the halfway mark, but here they come. Ryan Johnson coming down this time. Dula, Sailors overshooting it almost. Not sure if he's going to make it. No, he doesn't. That's going to kill the 55.
Yep, and I also think he entered the pits beyond that commit cone. So not only, I think that's a insult to injury, I think he's also going to get a pit road entry violation.
So everybody left out there. Lane Hostler, Norfleet, Brian McAvoy, Brad Herman, Timothy Latham, Dave Fuchs Jr., Byron McDonald, Corey Saucier, Michael Politis, and Brandon Domain. I believe we're going to see them all come down this time, and Lane Hostler misses it.
Oh, wow. That's going to put him on a lonely island.
Yeah, literally everybody else making it down that time by, and I'm curious to know as well, Brandon Domain out there by himself too. He's yet to come down pit road. Have to imagine the 20 missed pits as well.
Yeah, and their only hope now is I'd run the fuel out, and that way, run the fuel out both times, and then maybe pit, with 100 laps or so left and have the freshest tires in case we get a late caution, as we've seen in real NASCAR lately, a lot the late caution and with the tires.
Yeah, we just
They
need Danica
try to
Patrick on here.
Exactly.
Kind of will it into existence, which we've seen happen the last 2 weeks, which has been insane. So, yeah, anything's possible. Still a lot of time left, but 50 laps are in the book just like that here at the Peach State 180. And a new leader, Joseph Causey, now out in front of his teammate Seth Berger. Seth's going to be doing the pushing here, so we'll see if it's if they've been practicing both ways here.
And this is going to be a dangerous situation for the rest of the field. Those 4 guys got on and off so clean, so fast, that as the pit cycles kind of cycle out here, it looks like they're going to have a 3-second lead on the next pack. And that's going to be really, really tough to make up, considering we know how hard these guys are able to push. Now, this is where the pushing is going to come into play, when they don't have 12 cars stacked up behind them, and it's just a 5-car pack versus a 5-car pack. This is where we're really going to see the advantage of that tank pushing.
Yeah, this 5-car pack consisting of Johnson, Matt Dula, who's a lap down, Seminario, Scott Healy, and Justin Rideout. Actually, Justin Rideout not a part of this, so they're going to need some help. But right now, they are closing that gap a little bit down to 2.9.
Yeah, I was about to say, and call me a liar, because these 3 cars are ticking off some time. So even though in the big pack the drop off wasn't so much, are we maybe thinking that 5-6 lap tire difference when we kind of make this a smaller packs?
Oh, it looks like I thought we might have seen a pass right there for the lead. Berger got really out wide of his teammate there, so not sure if he's trying to get some air on the nose. That's what I'm guessing, considering how close they're running. Got to watch that water temperature too, which is another part of the game here when it comes to these drafting types of races. But right now, that lead down to 2.5 seconds. I'm not counting them out just yet, and they might have a little bit of a tow too for Ryan Johnson, because there's a car splitting these 2 packs, and I think he might start getting a pull off of that. Oh,
Yeah,
it's gone now.
Yep, it's gone now, but these guys are definitely ticking off time. It's steadily falling down, and that's one thing I didn't think about when I was talking about those guys running just a little bit different line. You see Dula doing the same thing here with Johnson. That's what that second car probably is doing, is just sticking that nose out in the corner just enough to kind of cool it down, because other than that, they are just stuck bumper to bumper.
Yeah, this is out the back bumper of Emerson Ardon, and they are coming. That lead down to 2 seconds now. And before too long, if this keeps up, they're going to get a big major pull from these tank drivers, and then it's going to be game on here for this lead. And I have to imagine Johnson was pretty content earlier riding there in third. It's pretty serious now. You got to get in front of these tank drivers, otherwise they're going to control this whole thing.
Oh yeah, and they'll be coming with a big head of steam and momentum, and I'm sure they're not going to want to lay off at any point and cause them to stall out and give these tank guys a chance to link up with them. They're going to want to try in one fell swoop to get all the momentum and pull their line all the way around these tank guys. So what's going to happen here later in the race? I mean, is Tank going to try to short pit everybody again, seeing that oddly we thought tires might not be that much of an issue, but it looks like that might not be the case.
And there goes Jordan Sailors, another lap down. So after that incident on pit road, he's losing 2 laps. Brandon Domain there behind him. That's your first car a lap down, that 20 machine out of Phoenix Virtual Racing. But watching that delta get smaller and smaller between the 88 and the 43, now down to 1.8 seconds.
And those lap cars could come into play big time. How aggressive are they going to be to try to get themselves back up there and get themselves on laps? I don't even have to worry about the lucky dog. And there's contact.
Ardon and Sailors.
And that's what I was talking about. Sailors was driving hard to try to get up there and get himself on lap to at least be 1 lap down and possibly put himself in a lucky dog position if Domain was able to unlap himself. And that caused contact with and Sailors has dropped down.
Yeah, and I even got a crash notification there. It's still no caution. That's always been something with this track. It is really hard to get a yellow flag For some reason here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, all that surface, that asphalt down there on the back straightaway, it just doesn't register as an incident here and any sort of danger for these guys. So we stay green, and that breaks up the Tank Racing quad. What's it? How do you say a trio with 4? I don't know. But now it's a trio with 3 of them out there. Brandon Domain, the first car lap down that I mentioned. But don't look now. They are getting closer and closer, now down to 1.4 seconds for Ryan Johnson.
And Ryan Johnson is getting a tow from his teammate Drew Ballesteros, so we'll throw another JW driver. Won't be racing for position when these packs get together. He will be racing Domain for the Lucky Dog, I believe.
Yep.
But throw another JW driver in the mix when they get up here and catch these guys, what looks to be maybe in the next probably less than 5 laps.
Yeah, halfway done just like that. We've only been racing for 30 minutes, and we're almost done with this thing here. I was going to take a quick commercial break once we reach the halfway mark, but I'm not going anywhere as this battle for the lead is on. Johnson is there. This is a bigger pack now, and he's going to go straight to the inside of his teammate. Drew Ballesteros goes up high. Dula, who is 2 laps down, or excuse me, just 1 lap down, so those 2 teammates battling for that lucky dog. They see Brandon Domain there in the 20th. A lot happening right here as Ryan Johnson using that inside lane. He's getting a big push. Someone's going to have to go down and block this inside lane if I'm Tank.
Yeah, I would imagine send the third place car down there, do something, try to control both lanes. Don't let this bottom lane get all the way up to you. But it looks like they're content as they were at the start of the race to stay up top. And Dula is trying everything he can to get Johnson up there. That bottom line did kind of get shuffled up just a little bit.
Yeah, it's one thing to get there. It's another to pass them, and that's what we're seeing. That inside lane stall out. We've seen it all night. That outside lane has definitely taken over as the fastest on the track, but right now, man, it's hard to say who has the advantage. The 43 with the fresher tires or the outside lane controlled by the 88 being pushed by one of the best, Seth Berger. These two have been pushing each other all night, just leaning on those bumpers. I have to imagine if this were a real race, they would not have much left there as far as sheet metal goes at the end of the day.
It took a while, but Ballesteros was finally able to drop down behind his JW teammates. I imagine he'll stay there as some of the other guys were kind of bouncing back and forth, all went to the top line. That kind of stalled out this bottom, and now they're all looking to go to the top. And it's that Healy who's up there in the wall.
Yep, Healy back there. He's losing the pace a little bit now after falling to the pack once already. He's got to be careful not to lose this pack again as he's lost about 0.7 of a second. But Seminario here on the center of your screen, he made a good move there to get in front of these JW guys. Now has the opportunity to maybe control that inside lane. I like it. Consider quartet, Seth, or I like quadlet, Trevor. I'm going with Trevor, Seth. Sorry. Your JW guys helped me out as far as that word I was trying to think of. We're going quadlet.
Quadlet, all right.
Never heard of it, but I like it. Just rolls off the tongue.
So now, what are you going to do if you're these JW guys? But Ryan Johnson sitting here, he's going to have help from Dula. Knowing how hard Causey and Berger are pushing, I imagine they were almost forced to pit with the leader. Running a little bit more fuel there, leading the pack. I'm wondering if Johnson right now is content to ride behind, save some fuel, knowing that seeing the difference in those tires, if he's content just to ride here for a little bit.
Yeah, I think you got to be, and just take the notes and put them in your notebook at the end of the day. You caught back up. You know what it does to have fresher tires here. So you don't have to panic too much if you do decide to stay out a little bit longer. But you've got to start figuring I'm not even going to say that one on air. Your boys are wild. That's all I'm going to say. But I just think there's a lot to be said to pass these guys. Now, Johan going to try and lead that inside lane. So I was saying, that was a great move by him to maybe get in front of these guys who looked like they were going to control that inside lane and see if they can push them to the front of this thing.
Enemy of my enemy is my friend. You might as well call Johan and Team JW right now with those other 2 drivers. They're all going to have to force to kind of play nice together to try to do something against these tank guys, because right now they just don't seem to have it.
Really see they're trying to learn each other's tendencies right now. They almost wrecked each other there on the front straightaway. So they're going to think better of it for the time being. But you keep mentioning, kind of riding and being content. I don't think there's any content for Ryan Johnson right now, because that 5th place position is going to give him 5th place points and put him right on the cut line with 2 races to go after this week. And if I'm correct, I believe these Cup Series guys are going to head out to Iowa next week. So that is not going to be an easy one. Short track racing, going to a cutoff race after that, you got to get everything you can here tonight.
And if you're right out, you're kind of happy that whenever Johan drops down, you're going to drop down with him, even if you don't think you're going to drive all the way back up to the front. He's got to try to stall that line as much as he can. He's got another teammate back there right out in the second group trying to catch up here a little bit. They're making a little bit of headway, but not too much right now. But they're trying to stall this front line as much as they can.
Yeah, and they really need the help of that 20, who's also a lap down. They're already getting help from 1 lap down car, Matt Dula back there. But the 20 of Brandon Domain's seeming pretty content, because he knows if he stays up there, he has that lucky dog spot right now. Knows that Dula's back there, and with just 1 caution, would be right back on the lead lap. So the 20 is going to be really hard-pressed to help these guys get by. So that's going to give 4 cars on the outside to 3 on the inside. I just don't see any way, especially with them losing Scott Healy a little bit while ago off the pace, as well as Drew Ballesteros, another one of those lappers that fallen back a little bit more now. That inside line is going to need to regroup and maybe try and get lucky off of a caution and see if they can get some more lap guys to help out. Scott Healy, you can see him just back there, not within that draft.
Yeah, Dula's going to have to try to force Domain's hand and try to get up there, get side by side with them, or at least have that bottom line feel like it has enough of a run to scare Domain that Dula might be able to get up and pass him.
So there you see the view from Sky Healy sitting just a second back. He is kind of catching him, though. Might have a little bit of a toe.
He's starting to pull up just a little bit. Is that Ballesteros behind him?
I believe it is, yes. So he's still got Blair Holloman and Drew Ballesteros just behind him. And Seminario, that last car in line there, trying to help out his teammate get back up there. Scott Healy, the 6th running car out of the playoff drivers, 8 out of them in the top 10. And then you got the other 2 trying to look through the field here, sitting there in 15th and 16th, respectively. Schumacher and Hostler having not as good a day as they were hoping.
Huge run off of 2 from that group. They are, look at that, just falling fast, the delta there. We're going to be under a second going into 1. Huge run off of 2 last time.
Pretty much all I got to say is that they can't do it, and then they prove me wrong, and they suck right up to the rear bumper here, and Scott Healy is back in the game.
And these guys take the run right now. Is he telling his teammate, go ahead and drop down with me? They're going to be content to ride, it looks like.
Oh, nope.
See, I thought Seminario needed to drop down a little bit sooner to keep Healy's momentum going. But they've gathered it up, and those guys are going to drop to the bottom. And let's see if the JW guys don't kind of tag along with them, or if they choose to stay up top.
Yeah, I think Seminario is playing this really well. Just he knows that he's got to get out in front of that 43 to try to lead that inside train, because it's going to be one of them. It's either going to be the 12 or the 43, unless the 64 gets out in front of him, leading the way on that inside lane. They're not getting help from the 20. That's clear as day that they're not going to get help from Brandon Domain, and he has every right to stay up there, because that's clearly the faster lane, and he's got the playoff lucky dog. But right now, he needs to get out in front of that 43 to try and control that inside lane.
And we might have 3 JW guys finally able to link up here as Ballesteros is trying to, he's going to go on the inside to catch a little bit more of a toe, and I imagine he's going to go to the outside. But Dula can't stay where he's at either. If he stays where he's at, he's going to stay right behind Domain for that lucky dog. So eventually, I think Dula's going to have to try to link up on that bottom line. I know he's going to leave his teammate possibly up there, but he's got to do what he's got to do to save his race as well.
Yeah, now the tricky thing for the 20 at Brandon Domain becomes, knowing when these guys for tank are going to pit. Do they feed him that information to kind of get another car in the pack with them, knowing that he has kind of stayed loyal to them these last 30 or so laps? Or do they go without him and leave him out to dry? And that ultimately will help out probably Matt Dula at the end of the day. It's a tricky spot for that 20 right now.
And if you're Domain, or you're asking your spotter, where's Dula, and just whatever line he picks, you just try to stay with him and just stay a car or two ahead.
Well, I don't know, but I know one thing for sure. That pit window is about to open up again. We saw the tank guys come down on lap 45, so if they're going to split it evenly, I say about 10 or so laps, we're going to see them coming down again for their final stop, potentially under green. Johnson gets real close to the wall there. And don't take your eyes off him now, but there is another line coming. Brad Herman leading the train now.
Herman, Latham, Northfeet, Rideout, who we've seen been strong up front all night. So we know if they get up there, Rideout has not been afraid to mix it up all night as well.
This has been really crazy to see how everybody got spread out, and they're all going to come back together here because this 85 is coming. He's bringing a few drivers with him. I mean, he's got a long line, especially of his teammates. Timothy Latham, you got Norfleet, like you said, behind him. And McAvoy also in this mix. So a lot of gear up guys come into play now too.
It's this new Atlanta is creating a style of super speedway racing we're just not accustomed to. Normally, after
you're
pit
done.
cycle, you're done. You're done. And now it's just no matter what, it seems like this gremlin of a track is just gonna force everybody together, no matter what you do.
And Blair Holloman, he's just trying to stay out of everybody's way. He is 2 laps down, and just like that, we're going to see them go down. That's Yellow Stripe making the first stop now.
Wow, that was.
Woo!
I don't know if they told people they were pitting or what, because that was such a late dive down.
Well, Causey comes down without his teammates. The rest of Tank Racing still out there.
Did they get maybe? Was Yellow Stripe able to kind of block their entry?
I don't know.
And not let them down, but you know they're coming now.
Ooh. Ooh,
Locking them up.
Man, oh man.
Did the 17 and the 77 get a penalty? Because they were locked up. I can't believe Berger kept it off of Schaefer. But did it cost them a speeding penalty? Somebody's looped. Somebody's in the grass.
Trying to see who that is.
Latham, maybe? I saw maybe a red car with the yellow spoilers. Latham in the pits? Yeah, I think it might have been Latham.
Was out there in the grass. That's going to be an unsafe pit entry potentially for the 5 here. So
it almost looked like it was in the middle of the pits, though. I don't know if he got tagged into somebody trying to get into his pits. I think he entered the pits okay, but because it looked like he was in the grass so far into the pit lane.
Let's see if I can figure it out.
But now we have at least 3 JW guys, I believe possibly 4 all linked up again here. Yeah, front 4 of this Packer JW.
So they stayed
right
out.
Now, I would say they can't pick because right now they're separate. They can't pick, but Justin Rideout was stuck to the outside.
Yeah, and that's going to leave 7 cars on the lead lap, too, with these guys still staying out. Johnson, Rideout, Hostler, and Gerwitz, as well as Byron McDonald, Thomas Toomey, and Michael Politis, all yet to make their final green flag pit stop of the night here. Looking like they're kind of indicating that these 2 might go down this time.
Possibly. I thought maybe they were going to wait to see if Ballesteros could catch up a little bit. Coming in real hot. Really, really hot. Once again, I don't know.
It looks
I
like
wouldn't be
it's so
surprised.
fast.
I wouldn't be surprised to see if
What's
Johnson.
It's 45. I just have a hard time believing that was 45 miles an hour. But hey, everything looks fast to me tonight here on this track. But that's going to cycle the lead out to Lane Hostler. And he's got a bunch of cars around him. This is all shaken up now. Still yet to see 4 guys come down. Or excuse me, 5. We got Hostler, Gerwitz, McDonald, Toomey, and Politis, as well as Brandon Domain, who is back on the lead lap technically. So we'll see when these guys decide. Corey Saucier almost gets back in the back of his teammate there. Oh, and Gerwitz gets loose.
He's off. Adios, senor.
Oh, boy. Having a good, quiet run in that 9, and that is going to be no bueno, since you're sticking with the Spanish theme here. No bueno for the 9 right now. So Thomas Toomey going to be out in front now. He's got a mirror full of Michael Politis giving him a big shove down the back straightaway. So now waiting for 3 more guys to come down pit road. Toomey, Politis, Domain. Have to imagine Domain is going to throw a Hail Mary here and hope that it sticks, maybe see if he can just stay out for a caution. But the trend of the night seeming like this thing, it might stay green the whole way.
You would have lost a lot of money on the sports books if you had bet green all the way. I think going into this thing, what a show these Cup drivers are putting on tonight.
Yeah, so 88 laps here going to be in the book when we cross the stripe next time by, and there's no opportunity for Toomey to even pit this time as that bottom lane is covered. So him and Politis still going to stay out there. And yeah, he's going to just try and get lucky here with a caution.
At this point, you got to run it. One of two things: either run it dry, Berger and Healy and those guys and Schaefer, whichever kind of comes first. I think is what's going to force the hands of these guys.
Yeah, and right now, you look at the scoring pylon, Reese Schaefer would cycle out to the lead once this pit stop does happen. He's got Seth Berger just behind him. Causey coming down without his teammates really going to hurt him, it looks like. Causey back in 23rd. I think he might have got a penalty.
And Johnson is 13th, so I think he avoided the penalty.
Yeah, but he's behind some drivers that he wasn't even behind. I mean, you got Dave Fuge, Brad Herman, Norfleet. That just shows how long staying out too long might hurt you. He didn't lose the track position like that last time, but now he's going to have some cars to pass while trying to catch up to these leaders as well.
And these guys just hanging out, forced to stay out as long as they can.
I mean, what do they have to lose? There's no team championship this week. Politis will be competing in that next week, starting off in week 18 out of Iowa. And Toomey hasn't been here in, I mean, how many weeks? He's just out here trying to get lucky and trying to steal a win, and that's what he's doing right now in the 11. Trying to go back-to-back for Yellow Stripe Motorsports after Seminario won last week out of Fontana. So right now he is your leader. Checking in with the other pack right there. There's Reese Schaefer leading Seth Berger. Scott Haley, the third car in line. Timothy Latham going to be the fourth car in line. Johan, who we just mentioned, will be the fifth car once we cycle this thing out. Norfleet having a quiet good night after being eliminated out of playoff contention. He'll be the sixth car in line. Brad Herman is sitting there too. So unlike we saw last time where Tank was able to get away, we're going to have a big pack of 10 cars here battling for this win.
There's a big pack of 10 cars, and unlike Johnson trying to catch just the 4 tank cars, now they're trying to catch a line of 10, 12 deep. Until these guys start shuffling it up a little bit, it's going to be a lot of laying back and just kind of waiting to see who goes where when. 'Cause you know that bottom line, it can kind of move its way up a little bit, but has not been able to get by the tank guys.
So there he is, Reese Schaefer looking to claim his second win. Should have 2 wins on the book here this year, but unfortunately had a black flag that was cleared at Charlotte. Took that win out of his name and gave it to somebody else, but ended up getting one. Not familiar with the track. I can't remember off the top of my head where he won. But looking to get that second win ever in SRN. You get that first one, it just kind of happens here in a hurry. So the 17 looking really good here to this point. Looks like we got Toomey coming down pit road now.
Yeah, he's finally going to decide to tuck it in. He either ran out of gas or decided it was just too late. He had to go. I noticed Berger's not pushing on Schaefer near as hard as he was the other guys, though.
No reason to, in my opinion. I mean, there's nobody really trying to get by him at this point. Looking like Scott Healy going to wait and see. He's going to see if he can get some help from maybe Latham. He's got Seminario behind Latham. I think Latham knows the deal here of what's out in front. He's going to have to go with Healy regardless of his affiliation for his team there. He's going to try and get as many points as he can because, like I said, you can't be content as Seminario takes a look to the outside. Doesn't get it, but
try to force it to the high side.
Yeah,
I don't know. If I'm Latham, knowing how strong these tank guys have been on the outside, if I see those guys drop down, I might just say, well, thank you very much, and take the tow and pull myself up into third. And then wait for maybe another big run later that you can dictate when you want to try to make the move.
Yeah, and let's not forget too. I mean, Latham has a few teammates. We mentioned the Yellow Stripe guys working together and how he's splitting them. I mean, Latham's got Norfleet and Herman sitting there in 8th and 9th as well. So if he makes the move early and gets those guys to go with him, he can get around Yellow Stripe and potentially contend for a win in that 5 machine after not being around most of the race here tonight. I feel like we haven't talked about him too much, but of course, here he is when it matters most with 24 laps to go.
Well, one team has decided to go ahead and make the move to the bottom now, and that's JW Racing, and Latham sees it coming. He's going to drop down in front of Ryan Johnson and try to go ahead and get pushed to the front.
That's a smart move there by the 5 to get in front of that 43, who's looked like the strongest car of the night. If you're not in a tank racing machine, that 43 has been bad fast and can push to boot too as well. So right now, looking like Yellow Stripe not really too worried about it. They're going to stay up there behind the tank racing guys. Latham goes on by a Seminario. He's going to try and get in those to the inside of Healy here on the backstretch and contend for third and possibly have a look at these tank guys. We have a race going here.
And then with 22 to go, is the tire difference that these JW guys have, a little bit fresher tires, is it going to be just enough to be strong enough on that bottom line to finally make the move? They've kind of stalled out right here at the Yellow Stripe duo. But those guys break up a little bit, and that's going to help this bottom line. You'll see him chugging up front now.
Yeah, I thought we were going to see Healy just commit to that bottom there, and it kind of just looked like he got a little bit loose here. And you're starting to see that pushing come out from the 77 now because, like I said, there was no reason to when you're all single file, but now they are coming here in the form of Timothy Latham in that number 5 machine. He wants to scoop up a win here in Atlanta Motor Speedway, crossing the stripe. 20 laps to go here at the Peach State 180, and I lied, it's 21. It changed early.
And we have a big line of lap cars that are going to come and play. Could be a blocker to one of these lines. Outside lane's going to get a little bit of a tow from those guys right now. That causes the inside lane to drop back down, and unfortunately for them, those lap cars are kind of hanging out on the inside.
Yeah, that's Byron McDonald. Looks like Brandon Domain. He's going to get out of the way. Toomey going to also do the same, but it's going to shake things up a little bit. Not going to hinder that inside lane too much. If Latham can get a nose to the inside of that 77, which he's doing right now, it's going to get real interesting here in a couple laps.
And how many of these guys behind are tired of the tank dominance? And if this inside line shows that they have any chance of competing, how many more will try to maybe drop down and add numbers to that bottom line and try to leave these tank guys out to dry?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. If you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and the tank guys just get it done at this style of racing. So right now, it's side by side, crossing the stripe. Ryan Johnson gives a big shove to the 5 heading into turn 1. That's going to give the 5 of Latham a lot of momentum through 2, and it's a drag race down the backstretch.
And here we go. The bottom line shows that they compete. How long is every guy going to be content to stay in their lines?
And all it takes is one bad push to wipe out all of these guys, too, with how tight this racing is right now. So you got to be on your P's and Q's, too. Remember what you're racing for. This is a bunch of playoff drivers we're seeing right now. 8 out of the 10 guys right here in the playoffs. You see a lot of yellow spoilers. You got to keep that in mind, too. I don't think anybody's thinking about that right now. They want to win this race.
Yeah, 8 of these top 10 guys, but 3 of them are going to be outside the cut line going into the next race. So these guys are going to fight for every position in this top 10.
But Latham out in front now, edging him out by a nose. He could come to the stripe right here, get a really important bonus point. Doesn't get it. Reese Schaefer goes back by to lead that lap. Those bonus points are going to be key, so that's very important. But we got Jordan Sailors coming up here on the inside. Doesn't look like he's going to get out of the way of these guys. Latham going to clear the inside. He's going to take the outside lane.
And that's going to mess up Tank's pushing because generally you don't want to push the pusher, and that's what's happening is Berger's not really shoving on Schaefer, but so much. But look how far Latham got out in front.
Sailors about to come back up. Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't come back up and mess any of the. Nope, he's able to keep it down, keep it down, keep it down. Maybe if he keeps it on.
Caution.
If he keeps it on the apron, I don't think it will. As long as he,
and there's the caution.
Oh boy,
man, you hate to see that. A great race.
Well, I think we're still going to have a race and some strategy to take tires or to not take tires.
I think I'm going to take tires here. And I also think I'm going to take a commercial break, too, because we haven't had a chance to do that. So while these guys pit and sort it all out, we're going to step aside and run a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere.
Want to be a part of an established league on iRacing? A league that's competitive, fun, and above all fair? Look no further than Speed Racing Network. Originally known as Mid-South Madness, SRN has evolved into a league that can bring the best out in any given driver. drivers work their way up through the ranks to hopefully one day call themselves a champion of Speed Racing Network. If you're interested in joining, don't hesitate to reach out to league admins to claim your spot today. Maybe you'll end up in the history books. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor in Speed Racing Network, feel free to head over to www.speedracingnetwork.com and reach out to an admin today. And as always, remember to go faster.
With the Buttkicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Buttkicker, the future is feeling.
Silverback Tax Solutions specializes in dealing with IRS tax problems. If you are receiving threatening letters from the IRS, or if the IRS has placed liens or levies on your property, Silverback Tax Solutions can help you find relief. We have worked with hundreds of people to resolve their tax problems. If you're behind on filing your taxes, it's never too late to get on the right track. Silverback Tax Solutions can help with that also. Don't let another night go by where you lose sleep worrying about the IRS or your taxes. Head over to www.silverbacktx.com or call 662-996-4357 and contact an enrolled agent today. We can help you gain peace of mind and deal with those problems for you.
Well, Nick, we
mentioned it earlier. We mentioned it earlier. Those 5 guys. I said, hey, go ahead, run it dry all the way on both of your stints, and that way you'll have the freshest tires. If we get that late caution, and look at Mr. Politis, we saw him duck down about 3 or 4 laps earlier than the other 5 cars he was running with, and he had it timed out to where he knew he had to go then, and was able to avoid going a lap down, and now finds himself in the lead on 6 laps of old racing tires, race pace tires.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny what happens when you don't have anything to lose. You find yourself out in front of these things at the end, and right now 2 gear-up trucks, or excuse me, cup cars, are going to be leading both lanes, and then you got the 2 tank guys sitting there in row 2. Ryan Johnson there in 5th now, with Scott Healy leading, or excuse me, 3rd car in that outside lane. Johan Seminario, Brad Herman, row 4. Rob Norfleet, and oh, hey, Adrian Schumacher, welcome to the party. He's now up in 10th place, so that just shook up everything.
If I'm that bottom line, I'm terrified, because I'm sure Latham's telling Politis, no matter what you do, you just stay on that bottom line. We are not linking up. You are not pushing me. You just stay on that bottom line.
You say, no, you stay.
You just stay down there, and, all right, Bandit, you're running blocker.
Well, the Silverback Tax Solutions green flag out just like that. And you see Reese Schaefer really trying to push that 6 out there. And you got to be careful, but here comes Latham back on the outside lane. Oh, there he goes. Boy. Oh, boy. You know your assignment here. Stay there on the bottom if you're Politis.
I think Latham was scared that he got so far out in front of Berger there that they were going to catch him and go around him. So I think Politis came up just a little bit for a quick second to allow Latham to get just enough of a toe to be able to have just a little bit more speed, that those guys didn't try to put him to the middle. Somebody's going to get put to the middle here in about 5 laps.
Somebody's going to get put in the wall here with how hard everyone's going to be pushing here. But right now, Latham goes right back on by his teammate out in front. So the 5 back in front of this thing. Politis holding strong there on the inside lane. And look at Seth Berger now. He's going to take over that inside lane, I think.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, he's going to drop down. Latham really needs Politis to come up here and be able to run a little bit more blocker. One of 2 things is going to happen. Either they're going to decide to drop down in front of Politis, or that inside lane is going to get decide to move into the middle and put Politis all the way to the bottom or something. But that inside line just got stalled out.
I agree too, and you got to think if you're that third place driver, Scott Healy, you're going with Berger, you're going with the momentum. But luckily for Latham, he's got Brad Herman sitting there in fourth place, another gear-up driver. So he could have some help here and maybe be able to defend that high lane, which we've seen is the dominant lane all night long. But right now, I think Seth Berger's ticking off these laps here, waiting to make his move. You know that 64 is going to come with you to potentially try and make a run at this thing, maybe come away with a win. Here comes Brad Herman now to control that inside lane. That could be a big move. We're under caution.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, if you have any thoughts of moving to that inside lane, knowing that it kind of stalls out, it's not like Talladega or something where you drop down and you think big run and make it all in one move. They couldn't wait very long. They'd had to drop down, but obviously some coordinating effect happened towards the back of the field.
Yeah, so let's take a look at our first admin box rec replay of the night. We kind of saw what happened there on the first one with Jordan Saylor. So our first attempt at an admin box rec replay for the Peach State 180. So this looks like Brandon Domain here gets in.
The ride out.
Oh, that was look like it might have been Kalal that got into ride out. So a bad day, a bad lap right there for PVR. All three of their guys here getting involved in that one. Joseph Causey also involved in this, it looks like.
Oh, that's a big name. Let's see, we can't see what possibly. Looks like maybe coming off the corner.
Yeah, he got a big shot.
He got loose. Yeah, it looked like Kalal maybe got loose and then it kind of overcorrected into ride out maybe. It looked like that 23, that rear end was moving around. Not too much damage maybe to Causey.
Yeah, I think the car is fine, but the real story going to be the track position, which we saw him potentially. I think he got penalized earlier. That's put him back here in this mix. Let's go back a little bit. So this all starts from a real big run off at turn 2 for Causey. Gets right into the back of the Scott Kalal in front of him. Gets him loose into ride out. Yeah, that it all just happens.
And Kalal was already loose before he even got to him. Kalal had already corrected one little shimmy of that rear end and just got it collected up before he got that big shove.
Oh man, not a did you see the note on his car dash too?
No.
This is gonna hurt. I don't know if you can see it. Hold on, let me take down the results ticker here.
Don't speed, Causey. Oh. My man's got a note to remind himself. I gotta figure out how to do that. That's pretty good.
Well, unfortunately, that has led to that incident here tonight because, yeah, we've seen some guys have trouble getting on pit lane here this evening. So, man, just like that, pace car lights are off. We're going to get this thing kicked back off. I like this new Atlanta. We get this thing really underway quickly when we're under caution.
I'm trying to find teammates. I'm not seeing anybody at least nose to tail.
Nope. You got, Timothy Latham there, his teammate Brad Herman, second car on the outside lane, and now Seth Berger kind of all alone when it comes to tank racing. We saw 4 of them controlling the race early on. It's just one of them up there now. Next close is going to be Reese Schaefer back in 12th now in that 17 machine. A few yellow stripe cars up there to boot, but, I mean,
yeah, Ryan Johnson. Yeah, Ryan Johnson, the yellow stripe sandwich right now.
Yeah, Ryan Johnson, the only JW car, and the next one going to be Justin Rideout, who was just involved in that mess. He's back in 14th. So, yeah, it's everybody for themselves. See what happens here when we take the green with 5 laps to go.
Yeah. Normally you'll be in a team Discord and kind of talking when you're going to make moves. These guys are going to have to guess, when these guys are going and where they're going. Let's keep also in mind the penalties that we've seen with these restarts in the restart zone.
Yeah, so Latham going to bring them to the Geico restart zone, and we'll see that Silverback Tax Solutions green flag waving for the 3rd time here tonight. A really great race so far for the Peach State 180. Let's finish this thing off. Latham leads the way down into 1.
And Latham went much later in that restart zone than he did last time. I think he was trying to avoid the situation he finds himself in. Kind of dangerous at super speedways to get yourself so far out in front because that guys get a big run, but he's
Yeah.
able to keep it out in front.
Berger could have easily gone to the outside of him there, but Berger thinks better of it. Healy, though, gets a big shove from Ryan Johnson. Healy out in front here, coming to the stripe with 4 to go. Where does Ryan Johnson go?
I think he has to stay there because if he makes any type of move, Johan's not going to go with him. I think Johnson's going to have to. I know he can't do it. He can't be content with second. It's just not his style. But he's got to know that unless that outside line gets a big run that he can jump in front of, he can't make the move unless Latham gets a big run that he can try to tag along with.
That's crazy how that outside lane just completely died. It's been dominant all night, and now the inside lane in command of this thing. But right now, don't count Latham out right now. He's getting a big shove from Berger back there, but 3 laps to go. Does he have the time to get up there? Johnson just shoving that 64 out there. Is Healy in command right now? It's Healy, Johnson, Seminario, Hostler, and Politis still in the top 5.
I think when Latham and there goes the yellow stripe. I was about to say I would think now that the yellow stripe knows the top line's been faster.
That killed the momentum, and Johnson could get up there now.
It did a little bit, but I think they're going to stack back up. Unlike what happened when Latham took over that top line, they kind of checked up and had an accordion effect. Yellow stripe timed it perfect to where Latham really didn't have to check up hard when he got to the bumper of these guys. So that was a strong move by yellow stripe to go ahead and jump out in front of that outside line.
3 wide back there, almost making an incident.
Latham knows he can't do nothing with 2 yellow stripe guys in front of him. He's going to drop down to the inside. That's going to stall the outside just a little bit.
But not enough. 1 lap to go. The white flag is out. Next flag will end this race here for the Peach State 180. Yellow Stripe Motorsports, a new team here at SRN, having a rough start to the season, potentially peaking at the right time, but not counting that inside lane out yet. Big push by Ryan Johnson to Timothy Latham down the back straightaway. Going to need some side draft potentially here. It's going to be a drag race to the finish right now. Latham out in front of it, coming to the stripe. Who's it going to be? Healy gets him by a nose.
Wow, amazing job pushing on those guys. I was going to say Johan's got to get up there and push Healy. He kind of laid off, and Berger gave him no choice but to get up there and push as hard as he could. That was impressive to see both lines, top 4 cars in both lines, just pushing as hard as they could. And, everybody in the top 10, I think, got to the checkered flag clean. That was impressive.
Yeah, we're going to have to take another look at that one. We saw it there, 0.00 on the differential on the tower, but iRacing scoring Scott Healy, the winner. He's going to get it done here tonight, and that's back-to-back wins for these Yellow Stripe Motorsports boys.
Talk about confidence. To be able to hold off the entire field, that was a great move they made. Timed it perfect to where they didn't stall that outside lane. They just kind of hooked up and kept that momentum going.
And, I mean, Johan got 4th place out of all that after that chaos. I mean, that just completely shook everything up there on the last lap. We'll go through the standings here in a second, but once he finishes his celebration, I want to go back and see that finish because that was a close one. So it looks like he's going to do a little bit of a Polish victory lap, and that is going to give us an opportunity to take a look here. Going to have to figure out a good angle for it since I don't have my normal cameras.
Look at these guys just shoving all the way through.
So sorry, this is going to get ugly. I got to bring up the old actual iRacing tools here. Oh, he had it right there and all the way to the stripe.
But the difference is, look at Johnson. Johnson dips down where Johan had stayed behind his teammate, kept shoving his teammate. I think had Johnson continued shoving there on Latham, it would have pushed Latham to the lead because you can see how much of a push you would have got from that portion of the front bumper there on Johnson. Now, if you back it up a little bit, we were talking about that red line. Healy broke loose, and I don't know how many cars moved down.
Yeah, Latham is completely under there too, so that's going to come into effect potentially.
Now it was the question is, was it wreck avoidance? Because there is a push from Seminario. If you back it up just a little bit, there's a push coming off this corner. Healy gets a little bit loose, and Latham sees it.
Yeah, that's a hard call.
That's going to be
I
an
don't
interesting
think.
call. Yeah.
Personally, I don't feel like he should be penalized considering he didn't really gain anything from it, but that's going to be something that comes into play here.
Yeah. Do they consider it getting? He didn't get Healy, but he got Seminario.
You guys are seeing how it's done right now. It's like watching a sausage being made. So look at this battle for third too. I mean, you got to consider this too when it comes down to moving on to the round of 5. I mean, Ryan Johnson edging.
Oh, wow.
Johan out too. That could be a very important point when it comes down to it. So keep that in mind. Whew.
Wow, what a finish. What a race.
All right, let me get all this stuff off here because it's got to look pretty. Got to make it look pretty here. And now, let's get to the fun part where we bring everybody up and talk about that race. Looks like Ryan Johnson already sitting here. Let's bring him on up to the broadcast booth. Ryan Johnson coming home in third. I'm not sure if you just saw the replay there, man, but I don't think you could have fit a card in between you and Johan at the line. Tell me, how important is every point when it comes down to making it to that final round of 5? I mean, you had, let's be honest, not the truck season you wanted last year, missing out on that final 5. How important is every point to you tonight?
That's that's all that's been on my mind was last season. I'm like, I need to buckle down, not make mistakes, get every point I can. I got a lead lap earlier in the race, so I was like, woo! Oh man, that's all I wanted in the finish was a clean, fun. That was wild as hell. That was so much fun. Yeah, no, every point matters. I mean, I think in all 3 series we always have everything coming down to less than 5-point differences in like all the cutoffs, like all the time. So I'm just trying to get everything I can. Congrats to Scott. Him and Johan left me. That was very rude of them. But I completely understand. Me and Latham worked really well together there a couple times in the end, and I was trying to at least get him to a win if I could. But man, that was fun.
I was wondering how content you'd be to push Latham there. As you talked about what happened to you last year, but this Atlanta track showed us kind of a different type of speedway racing, where normally after pit cycles, if you get broken apart, that's just it. It's where you are. You guys in the middle of that race were able to kind of pull back up, and the entire pack just kind of all came together again.
Yeah, I'll definitely give credit to that. To Matt, me and Dula, I don't know what it is about plate tracks and us, but we're really good at pushing and being pushed with each other, and it just works. And fortunately enough, I think it was Johan and Scott, even the one time that we had a pretty big deficit, and we were able to keep up. And then me and Dula did it later by ourselves. That's all I got to say about that. We just have chemistry on the plate tracks, and this is another one. It's a goofy plate track, but it is one.
Well, it was exciting. That's all I'm going to say here tonight. But before we let you go, Ryan, and get started on your Iowa prep next week, who you got to thank here tonight?
All the admins at Speed Racing Network. You guys for broadcasting. My teammates and my team, JW, Justin, Matt, Randy, Drew, TCD for my paint, Rogue Energy, everybody tuning in and watching, all the drivers for a really, really fun race. I was honestly kind of dreading this race, but it turned out to be so much fun. And I think that's everybody.
Well, it's good to see you up here as always. And man, I'm going to keep that in my noggin as far as, like you said, those cutoff lines. That little inch, if it even was an inch, could be vital to you making the final 5. And you certainly deserve it. You've had a great season so far, but it is going to be a tough road ahead. Best of luck next week when we get you out to Iowa.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right. So, Nick, that was your JW teammate there, Ryan Johnson, coming home in third here tonight. Let's drag Timothy Latham into the booth. Timothy,
And I'm
welcome to the booth. You got Greg Olenek and Nick Halda joining you, man. Just missed out on that win, but you were there at the end. Tell me, what was going through your mind there in those last couple of laps? How were you going to get that done?
Well, when Scott and Johan slid up in front of us there, me and Seth on the high side, I knew the only way I was going to be able to get back past them was to go to the bottom, and I just barely got clear of the 43 and Ryan Johnson there going into 3, and I had to take the opportunity. That was, like I said, that was the only way I could get past those guys. And then he did a hell of a job pushing me there at the end to get me up beside Scott and tried to get me the win there. But yeah, we were coming down the front stretch there. He pushed me a little bit hard there, coming into the tri-oval, swiped my bumper a little bit, put me below that line. I didn't really want to be down there, but I couldn't really control that. But yeah, congrats to Scott, man. He was a hell of a driver throughout the whole field today. I was around him pretty much the whole race, and congrats to him. Great job to those guys and Johnson's team, and our team did a good job too. We were up there most of the race, but unfortunately, some of the guys fell back there at the end. But at least we got 3 of us there in the top 10.
Well, you're used to these drives here late in the season and late in the playoffs here. Tell me, what does that experience pay off as far as you're the defending Cup Series champion? Do you go into this round of playoffs with a little less nerves, knowing how to get it done as you got it done last year, or are you feeling a little bit more nervous trying to defend that Cup Series champion?
Well, now after this week, I'm feeling a lot better. I don't particularly like having a super speedway-esque type race to start off the round because you never know what's going to happen. But now that we're past that, we can go to Iowa and Homestead. Iowa's a pretty good track for me, and I won Homestead last year, so I'm looking forward to this round for sure, and hopefully we can punch our way in that final 5.
Awesome. Well, before we let you go, you got any friends, any family, any sponsors you want to give a quick shout out to?
Yeah, of course, everybody at Gear Up Motorsports, Gear Up Apparel, those guys put all this stuff together for me. Rep Sports, Raise Energy, those guys having the faith in me to put them in good positions every week. And thanks to you guys for putting on this broadcast. I'll definitely watch it back to see what happened there from your vantage point.
It was wild.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. But thanks everybody for watching. We'll go get them next week in Iowa.
All right, buddy, get to it. And like I said, we'll see you out there at Iowa. Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, so that was Timothy Latham coming home, MP number 2, as Nick Halda had to step away for a second. He's got family duties to take care of, so I'm going to kind of wrap up the show here tonight. But, hey, I'm excited to talk to this guy here. Scott Healy sitting here waiting for me to pull him on up into the broadcast booth, so let's do that. Scott, you got Greg Olenek and Nick Halda up here in the broadcast booth, but right now it's just me. You got me here interviewing you, and I'm excited to talk to you. You get your first win in that fashion by an inch, and dude, I don't know how you did it because that was a hell of a chess match all night long here at this new reconfigured Atlanta Motor Speedway. What's going through your mind, man? Tell me.
All right, man. First of all, it's my first win of this season. I'm so hyped up. I couldn't do it without Johan at that last couple laps. Without him, I probably would have not finished P1. So I'm just gonna thank you to him. Big thank you to Byron, our spotter, our teammate Thomas. So I'm happy. I'm very happy with the results tonight. Even though I can't really talk, but I'm still pretty excited, man.
Well, you come into the playoffs as the playoff lucky dog, so that had to get you a little confidence coming in. And now starting off the round of 10 here in the second round with a win at a race like Atlanta Motor Speedway where anything can happen. How does that make you feel heading into Iowa and Homestead for these last 2 races?
Pretty good. I'm pretty solid at ovals. Probably not in this car. Probably not the greatest in this car, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. I mean, I'm sitting P1 in a point, so I'm just gonna go full throttle with my teammates, see if we can get a 1-2 in the playoffs.
Yeah, tell me what it means to Yellow Stripe Motorsports. Back-to-back wins. Johan wins in Fontana. You win it here tonight in Atlanta. Kind of didn't have the start to the season that you guys wanted, but man, you guys are peaking at the right time. Tell me what it means as far as the team standpoint goes.
We're pretty happy with the results that we're putting in each and every week, so we're just putting in more practice. Trying to get the better results. Like you said earlier this year, we haven't got the results. I mean, we've been DNF, finishing P20 and back or whatever. Once the playoffs started, we're just buckled up and ready to go.
Well, man, before we let you go and get ready for your Iowa prep here in the next week, who you got to thank here tonight?
I'd like to thank you guys. You guys do an amazing job. Premier Racing Setups, RPM Transmission, my teammates, Yellow Stripe, friends and family. Big thank you to all of them. And yeah, pretty much it.
Hey, well, we appreciate the shout out. And, I'm always pumped for you, man. You deserve it. You're one of the best we got here in the Cup Series as far as a driver and just the person goes. So, congratulations. Enjoy it. And hopefully you can shake the nerves off for Iowa. You got a little bit of cushion now above that cut line and go get it done out there.
Absolutely. Have a good night, man.
All right, take it easy. All right, so that was Scott Healy coming away with the win here tonight. Like I said, Nick Halda, he bailed on me here. He's got some family duties to go take care of, so we are wrapping up the show with just me. So that's going to do it. Let's bring up the results here tonight, the top 20 finishing order here. And there you see Scott Healy at the top of the board by 7 1,000ths of a second over Timothy Latham. Ryan Johnson gets that final podium position for JW Racing. Johan Seminario, who we heard Scott Healy mention, giving him that big push, comes home in fourth, just 2,000ths of a second behind Ryan Johnson. Lane Hostler going to round out the top 5. White Knight, but after an early pit stop error for Lane, he comes home with a top 5. Michael Politis comes home 6th. Brad Herman comes home 7th. Seth Berger in 8th. Reese Schaefer 9th. And Adrian Schumacher in 10th. Dave Hughes Jr. 11th. Robert Norfleet comes home 12th. Joseph Causey rebounds after that late incident to come home 13th. No, that wasn't the result he was hoping for tonight. Brian McAvoy in 14th. Matthew Dula in 15th. Thomas Toomey comes home 16th. Our pole sitter here tonight, Justin Rideout, unfortunately comes home in 17th. Byron McDonald in 18th, with Drew Ballesteros and Emerson Ardon wrapping out the top 20. So that's going to do it for us here tonight. Like I said, these boys are heading out to Iowa for the Hawkeye 175 next week. So definitely come on back. Same time, same place, right here on the Speed Racing Network. But that's going to do it for us here tonight. As always, for all the guys behind the scenes, myself, Nick, Sean Griffith, and Jason Tripp, we wish you guys a good night and go faster.
Pretend